Hi friends, welcome back to Nearly Same Games. I'm Neil, and today we're going to be taking a look at a new deck tech for the Commoner format. Now this is a deck that's built only using commons. There's no rares, there's no super rares, there's no majestics or legendaries. We'll see if I get a chance to play this in Vegas. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll give this a shot. This is my own deck, and it hasn't been fully tested, so we'll see how well it can do. First off, I chose Levia as my hero. This is a blitz deck, but Levia is my hero, and Levia says Shadow Brute Hero, and that's it. Really, the way I built this deck, we don't care about the text on here. We've built this specifically to avoid blood debt. The goal of this deck is to block and block with 2 cards and hit with 2 cards. And we want to have, on a general turn, a 7 or higher attack each turn, and combo off into 12 or 13 points when we can. All right, so first off, Levia, that's our hero. Now let's go through our equipment. First off, we're starting with Romping Club. 4 attack. We're likely not going to hit the once per turn effect to give it +1, but a consistent 4 attack when we need it for 2 is right about where we want to be. Now let's take a look at the equipment. First off, we start with Hooves of the Shadow Beast. The most important thing about this is battle worn and blocks for 1. So this is, if we get to use this ability, which there are some cases that we can, where whenever a card with 6 or more powers put into your banish zone, you may destroy a Hooves and gain 1 action point. There are cases where we can get that. I don't think in every game we're going to be able to use that ability, but if it's there if we want it, and we get an extra block out of that. So that's going to be our feat almost always. Next up, we have Goliath Gauntlet. Very strong, extra 2 damage to a big attack, which we have a lot of. Barkbone Strapping. Again, a lot of the equipment, I'm looking for a little bit of block. We really need to handle the Kodachis. And again, there's a possibility that we could use the ability, but mostly we're looking for the block. This will be, if we don't need the block, here's a free 2 resources when we can use it. We don't have a lot of go again in this deck, so, and our hand, like I said, we're planning on defending with 2 cards and attacking with 2 cards. So there's only going to be a certain number of cases where we can take the full damage and then use something like this to get extra resources. But if we need it, it's here. This is probably going to be our primary chess piece. Barkbone Strapping come in if we're playing somebody that's going wide. Ninja, most likely. Ebb and Fold. The ability here is meh. Again, this can combo with Hooves of the Shadow Beast if we have the cards that we need, and we need to banish a card and activate Hooves. If we have a 5-card hand that we can take advantage of all that, or some 4-card hands might be able to do that, it's there. Spell Void this is probably not what we're going to be using if we have a spell arcane damage matchup, but that's there if we need it. And then Ironrot Helm. Again, concerned about Ninja. I want to have equipment blocks wherever possible. So we have that. And then we have Null Rune, and we're running the full 4 Null Rune everything. So if we run across Wizard, we have that available to us. We run a decent number of blues. I think we have a chance against Wizard, but we're going to need full Null Rune for that. Next up, let's go to our big attacks. So Deadwood Rumbler is an all-star, costs 3, and draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card with 6 or more is discarded this way, banish a card from a graveyard. And we get to choose this card. This is one of our few Blood Debt cards, but this will work well with Hooves of the Shadow Beast. Again, this is one way that we can banish a card and potentially trigger that if we need to, if we have the resources for that. A lot of times we could banish a card from somebody else's graveyard, it doesn't really matter. But we're running the reds and the yellows. So this attacks for 8. We have no defense on this, but again, we're looking to have 2 cards to attack with and 2 cards to defend with. This is not one of the defending cards. The yellows attack for 7, very strong. We want these to put big pressure on our opponent. Remember, you're at 20 life, so an 8 attack is going to do a lot of damage. Next up, Smash with Big Tree. Just a 7 attack and a 6 attack in the yellow. Very strong. No on-hit effects. Hey, if you want to just take the damage. Again, this deck wants to push through 7 or 8 points of damage every turn with some combo turns that we'll talk about that we can push through more damage. No block again, but these are, I believe, the only cards that we have, or some of the only cards that we have with no block. Next up, Lunar Plunderer, another 7 attack for 3, and if it hits a hero, you can banish up to 1 card from their soul, which is fine. But we also banish it. So again, this is another place that we banish a card. It's a shadow card. If it hits, we can Hooves of the Shadow Beast and gain another action point, if that's relevant. Something to think about. Next up is Riled Up, another 7 attack, again for 3. The discarded a card with 6 or more this turn is not likely. We have trimmed this down to not have a whole lot of discard. If we were discarding, being able to pay the 3 would probably be difficult. But we have the 2 red in here. Next up, we have one of my favorite cards in this set is in this deck is Smash Instinct. We get Intimidate, we hit hard, and we have 3 block. And that 3 block, as you can see, some of the other cards that we have don't have any block. So having cards with a good 3 block is important. And we go 7-6-5 on those, and we're running the full play set. We want all of these. The Intimidate's good, the damage is good, the block is good. Everything about this card is right in line with our plan, so I like this a lot. All right, next it's tricky time. Zealous Belting. This is a card I kind of fell in love with when we were going through our sealed decks. While there's a card in your pitch zone with power greater than Zealous Belting's base power, Zealous Belting has Go Again. For our deck, it is pretty easy to find a card to pitch that has greater power than Zealous Belting. And that allows us to fire this off, gain Go Again, and then fire something else off. This will be our combo turns. This is the card that will get us to more than 10 base damage. In my practice with this, I've thrown a 7 power card and then this following up with that for 12 damage or 2 Zealous Beltings in a row for 10 damage. Overall, it's a very good card and helps to combo. And we run the full 6 of those. It's a good card to have for pitch, and it's a good card to attack with. It only costs 2 to attack. This works really well for us. Next up, we have our pummel package. Sometimes it comes up that we can have enough to fire off an attack and then follow it up with a pummel. Pummel is always great. Sometimes blue pummel is just there kind of for pitch, and we need to do that. But if we can use it, if we can hit with it, then we have it here. Also blocks for 2, which comes up sometimes. Next up, we have defense reactions, and we're running Sink Below and Fate Foreseen. I think most commoner decks are going to run these no matter what. We have to be prepared to do some blocking, and these are the best cards to do it with. So we're going to run them, and they cost 0. Again, our goal is to use 2 cards to block with, and then follow it up with 2 cards to attack with. So having defense reactions in here is totally what we want to do. All right, finally we have our fuel. These are all going to be blue pitch cards, and the primary focus on these is to fuel our hand and be able to pay for a lot of our 3-cost attacks, but they're also chosen for their blocking abilities. So we want to have 3 block available to us if we need to use these cards for blocking. Now this one only has, Rally Rearguard only has 2 block for it, but it allows us to discard a card and have it gain 3 more block. This is important for the set of cards that we have, the Smash with Big Tree, the Deadwood Rumblers, so that we can pitch those and gain more defense where otherwise they don't have any defense. So we're running 2 of those. Awakening Bellow. I don't expect, this is a pump spell with Intimidate. It allows us to pump up the next brute attack. I don't expect this to, I don't expect to play this very much. Usually if we have cards in hand, this is not what I want to spend them on. So this has a 3 block, so we can use that in a blue pitch, so we can use that if necessary. Predatory Assault. We're probably not going to get that Dominate. If we must, it's a 4 power attack, which isn't great, but it is a 3 block, which is important to us. And then Wrecker Romp Blue, 6 power attack if we absolutely need it. We have to discard a random card, which again this deck has avoided, but the 3 block, the blue pitch, that's what we're looking for there. And so that's our deck. It pilots pretty well in my testing. We can almost always get a 8 power attack, 7 power attack. And like I said, we can go up to having some attacks that are 12 power for 1 turn. And I think with, this hasn't been really tested against other commoner decks, but commoner is going to have more difficulties going again and getting in more attacks. And we're hitting it from both sides here, having blocks and having big attacks to keep pressure on and to keep our life totals high. And I'm hoping that this combination will work well. And yeah, so that's where we are with that. All right, thanks everybody.